Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Volume 1, Chapter 2, Text 92. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Śrī Parīkṣit uvāca. Guruṁ praṇamya tam gantuṁ kailāsaṁ girim utsukaḥ. ālakṣyoktaḥ punas tena sva-putraḥ putra-vatsale. Śrī Parīkṣit said, "O dear mother, affectionate protector of your son." Nārada bowed down to his spiritual master, Lord Brahmā. And when Brahmā saw his son, Nārada, eager to set off for Kailāsa, Brahmā then told him something more. Purport: a father should be honored as a kind of spiritual master, all the more if he's given essential instructions in Krishna consciousness. Brahmā is the father of all fathers among living entities, and he personally taught his youngest son, Nārada, the science of Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. Because Brahmā is omniscient within the material universe, he knew that Nārada wanted to go to Mount Kailāsa, Lord Shiva's abode in the universe. Noticing that Nārada was glancing down from Brahmaloka in the direction of Kailāsa, Brahmā decided to suggest a better idea. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Taksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishnam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Shindu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So greetings from New Jersey, Jack's house. I returned yesterday morning. And we're on a Lord Shiva section, and I kind of look for things and I spent 5 minutes preparing, just looking for things that I have some realization on, and I can say something interesting. And I do struggle with these sections. I did this before in the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. So, just to get me going, I'll just share some of my Purushottama Mas realizations. Madhavatiti Bhakati Janani, that the days of Lord Hari give birth to devotion. And what does birth mean? There's something that was not there and then manifests, or something that within you that comes out. So it's like that when you follow Ekadasis, what to speak if you follow a month. And I have quite a bit of doubts going, but I consulted some mentors, God brothers. And the consensus was, if you take it seriously, you should go. And I always say that destiny is the language of God. And I didn't have many things on my plate to do. And, it's expensive for me because the prices go up at this time. But when I left, I really felt it was really kind of worth it, that these things kind of work, that, it's kind of mystical, but you get a benefit. And then something that wasn't there is there. And I really went to pray for kind of further direction of where I should go in my service. And it kind of becomes clear to me that my service is just to be a sadhu, not to have any huge dreams. And a sadhu in our tradition means to be focused, concentrated and attached to the holy name. And it was really worked. It really was profound. I can't say, I don't know what other people feel. Maybe I'm just coming up to the basic standards, but whatever it was a lot more than what was before, considerably. And then, I arrived in JFK, and there was a mix-up. Somehow, I guess I didn't send the message. I thought Dr. Gopinath would be there. So I sent him a message. I'm on the plane. I'm ready to go. And then he said, well, I never got that message that you were there. He said, I'll be there in an hour. So basically there was no problem. But then when I was driving, I kind of looked at the world, from that lens that, being in Govardhan, and it was an extremely peaceful time. I even found the weather the most suitable. It wasn't excruciatingly hot, but when it's hot, it's real sadhu. Makes life so much simpler. And kind of I looked around when I'm driving out, and what I drive by on the Bell Parkway is exactly where I grew up. So my life, comes past it as I cross Cropsey Avenue and Bay Parkway and Coney Island, and just looking out, looking at all the houses and just saying, what are these people doing? What are they doing? What is their goal in life? What is the use of it all? And then starting to appreciate, Prabhupada trying to give people some vision, to give them some meaning in life. Because now it's basically, most people, it's eat, drink, especially you go to New York City, eat, drink, and tomorrow you die. Like Sridhar Maharaj, my godbrother, used to have a sticker on his briefcase, life is tough and then you die. And then I call it last meal life. You're on death row and you get a last meal. What is the pleasure when the future is so dim? So I called it a last meal life. What is the use when you don't and it's not just devotees just being a devotee and having an intellectual understanding that we're eternal, but actually getting some realization. Because you start with the Bhagavatam, it starts for devotees, but you don't start with that realization. Maharaj Parikṣit is a devotee, and he still has to ask the question, what is the duty of a man who's about to die? What should he not do? And the answer is, if you want to be fearless at the time of death, chant, hear, and remember Krishna. Because by engaging in spiritual activities, you're starting to act on the platform of the soul and starting to value and realize the platform of the soul. And that's the only way to become fearless at the time of death. to live as a soul. And in our line, living in a soul means Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Katir. There's no other way. There's no other way. There's no other way. But by chanting the holy name of Krishna. So I kind of had that sense. And then I had the sense, it's like, what am I doing in this place? And then I thought of Prabhupada in 26 Second Avenue, which is even worse. You know, he said, what am I doing? You know, why am I here? Why am I here? Because I'm 100% faithful to the order of my spiritual master. For someone like me who doesn't have family responsibilities or managerial responsibilities, you know, we should only leave Braj for preaching. That's really the only reason we should leave. And there was one famous sadhu, he was giving these lectures, and Vikram would go and give me the notes. I think some of you know Vikram was helping me. And the sadhu said, you know, if you leave Vrindavan to give Vrindavan, if you leave Vrindavan to give Vrindavan, then that's not different than Vrindavan. So I kind of had that sense, and then started to appreciate, you know, preaching, and that it has to be based on compassion. And what's the compassion? The compassion has to be based on some experience of Krishna consciousness. Because unless you're feeling Krishna consciousness, how can you feel sorry for people who don't have it? Rather, you'll envy what they have. Their wealth, their beauty, their sex life, their, you know, whatever it is. So I was just seeing that by the experience of being in Govardhan, how it made me, you know, it made me feel compassion. Because what a treasure. This temporary material world is full of suffering. Take shelter of the holy name of Krishna as your only business. How much you feel that people don't have this. And, you know, how we actually have to cultivate this. And then get faith in this. That chant the holy name of Krishna is your only business, or your real business, which is to realize the soul. And then, you know, I got back, and I have to be jet lagged because it was not like a very small program, just Govardhan Bhakta and his wife, his 2 kids, and a few friends. Because it would be the only time until I'm going back to India in 1 month to be there for Radhastami that I'd have an opportunity to see their new house. And some of you have been there, they raised it completely. You look at, there's this big house there. And so I thought I would go. So I you know, we did kirtan. Jack and Jeff Eisenberg were with me. Jack was off, so he came, and I didn't know Jack would be off. He usually works on Saturday. So I asked Jeff, very nice, compassionate, nice person who sometimes, you know, comes with me. And so I spoke, and I didn't think it's going to be like a very inquisitive, there's only like, I think 6 or 8 people there or something. I was just coming for the doshas and the sambar and the idlis. And so I asked if there's any questions. And they asked a question that maybe some of you are asking, so I think I should answer it. And it's funny, the only question that was asked, why am I wearing black tilak? And this is my answer is, well, I got it from Radha Kund, but the answer is, is I like wearing tilak. I like wearing tilak. I just like wearing tilak. You mark your body with the names of God. It sanctifies it. And it represents the concept I belong. Like a woman, a chaste woman, and she wears certain markings on her head. Then that she's married, I belong. So this means I belong. It's just like Krishna's footprints. I explained in Vrindavan. The commentators say that the earth wears those footprints, doesn't allow those footprints to disappear, with the conception that, I belong to Krishna, like tilak. But for years, the Gopi Chandan doesn't work. I don't know what it is. It just cracks on your face. It doesn't stay. And then it looks sometimes like bird droppings And then one day I just tried this tilak, and it just sticks all day. It doesn't even come off when I bathe. You got to really, I guess that's one reason. Then the lady I talked to was Indian, and I said, because I'm white, and it contrasts with my face. So I'll have to see what people's reaction to it. I know when we first came to the movement, we didn't have tilak. I think it was full as earth or some kind of cement. I don't know what we used. It wasn't tilak. So I'll just see if it makes people think I'm in a different sampradaya, or maybe because I'm the only ISKCON sannyasi, or kind of not ISKCON, that wears a beard. After a while, people get used to it. So that's why I welcome any feedback, but I just like that I can put it on. And I found two ways to put it on that actually works. One, I had this little stick I got from Iran. They sent me some tea that had saffron and rock candy. And you put it in, and it melts it. There's a little stick, and I can put it on. But I didn't have it there, so I used just a thank you, Bhakti Devi. Then I had just a tilak, an incense stick, and I put it on the incense stick, and you can and therefore, otherwise. Anyway, and I feel like sadhus, they wear tilak, and they're really good at it too. They're really good at it. And of course, it's not just the external thing. Externals, it's uniform, but it's a devotional item. So that's why. Now, getting back to this, the general theme is, and I'll repeat it again and again, parama, antim dasha, parama dasha antim, the top stage. Sanatana Goswami has to explain this. And you have to explain the top stage. You have to explain the other stages beforehand. Otherwise, you won't realize it's the top stage. And it also tells you something about where you're going. It's just like if you have an unripe mango, and then it's a ripe mango, but you understand something until it reaches perfection. So you can learn a lot about perfection. It's just perfection is something more. So you can learn about the basics and what it is and what's bhakti. And it's so nice. And we're in the section where the demigods are being explained. And it's not an ordinary thing. You can imagine Lord Brahmā has 100 perfect births without any defect in their social duties and the level of his service. But what we're seeing from the reactions of Indra and Brahmā, and I mentioned this before, that it's great to do service, but when you do big service, it can become an upadi or a material designation, because you can start to identify with the position which you are doing that service, which is not the real you. You're not the progenitor. You're not the, the guru. You're not the, you're none of these things really. They're just, you're not the uniform. You may use the uniform, may give you identity. You're not the, it may give you an identity. A uniform gives you an identity. So it's not essential, but it has some value. But it's not the essence, the real essence. Vidyaviniya sampane brahmani gavi hashtini suni chaiva supake pandita samadarshana. We're all the same in one sense. On one level, spiritual sparks, where we have particular identities as Krishna's servants. But the position can give you, as Prabhupada, Gopi Pranadhana says, the purport, a type of conceit, like an identity, other than a service of Krishna as a master, as a controller. It can really feed into the false ego. And that's what Brahmā and Indra expressed. I'm not that fortunate just because I've been given a big position, because it feeds and we see that, don't we see that played out in ISKCON? Getting a great meal is great, but if you can't digest it, it's the worst thing in the world. You may have a great meal. Wow, you mercy, you got all the pizza and the pasta. But then if you're up all night, nauseous and vomiting, then what was was it really mercy that they fed you all that food? I have to say it was mercy yesterday, because the doshas and the idlis and the samba and the South Indian potato sabji with the mustard seeds, it all digested. And I wasn't going to take the sweets from, the Edison Indian section when I just came from Vrindavan. I just came from Vrindavan, where I'm a stone's throw from Giriraj Mistan Bandar. Although I can't eat sweets anymore. I can take something. Like when I go into Vrindavan, there's this wonderful lady, and she cooks gourmet Italian food for the Vaishnavas. She's so happy when I come, and her assistant brings me that. When I go into Vrindavan, that's like for a day, that's how I eat. She makes homemade ice cream. Like really, I can take a few tablespoons. I can't do the whole quart like I used to do. It's just, and also I think that's the other thing, when you feel your service is a sadhu and it's based on chanting the holy name, then you look at the rest of your life in relationship to how it facilitates that. And eating a lot of heavy things doesn't. So it creates your kind of a vision. Vishyavini vartante niraharasya dana raso rajam raso pyasya param drishva nivartate param, supreme drishya, that if you got the better taste, then you can give up other things. So that's our philosophy. So anyway, Lord Brahmā deflected praise because he is a Vaishnav. And a Vaishnav, even if he has a lot of mercy, he's humble, because you can't feel mercy unless you feel you don't deserve it. So you have to see your lack. And it kind of works. The more you become Krishna conscious, it should be the more you become Krishna conscious, the more you should become humble. That's how our philosophy should work. It's just a natural psychological thing. So these great devotees, they never really feel it. And their goal is not to be superior, so they're not the least bit hesitant to point out. There are gradations. There are gradations in relationships with Krishna, even among pure devotees. It's just there's different varieties of flavors, and some may be more intense. And Lord Chaitanya came to give or awaken within us that which is more intense. That's why it's so merciful. Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Shishe Namaha. He's Namo Mahabhadanyaya. He's the most munificent avatar because Krishna Prema Pradayate. He's giving Krishna Prema. He's somehow awakening that within our soul. So they don't feel that abhiman, that self-conception. I am so special. I am. It just doesn't happen with the Vaishnava because it doesn't come with the bhava or love. Love comes from a subordinate position. Even if you're a parent and you have a position over your child, if you love your child, you're ruled by their desires that are their needs. Not that any whimsical thing they do, but the child has a legitimate need. Even beyond that, a little bit out of love, the parent becomes subordinate. So in love, there has to be humility. There's no such thing as pride in love. That becomes lust. So, so he deflects that praise, and Parīkṣit's noticing this because he's describing it to his mother. And Nārada heard that, and he bowed to his father and spiritual master. And Prabhupada indicates in the Gopi Pranadhana indicates in those purports that the elders should be honored that way, especially if they give Krishna consciousness, but even if they don't. Because that especially more so if he gives the essential instructions. But that culture, and we're talking about a proper culture, not what modern culture is become, where it practically tries to denigrate the nuclear family. But that culture where people who are superior represented the wisdom of the tradition, and all societies had values generally that were coming down. Generally, they all had honor thy mother and father, the basic, well, we say a Judeo-Christian, but the values are the same in a Hindu culture and an Islamic culture. There were basic values. So there was a certain representative of truth in a proper culture. Of course, people always can abuse their position and they can be crazy people, but the general principle was that. And I used to laugh at that when I used to come to India and I used to look at the altar. And it'd be Radha and Krishna and everybody else, including, mother and father. But now I look about it was a beauty that there was something respectable coming from that. What to speak if they actually, as Prabhupada said, actually represent, and that's why the context and commentary of that very important verse, Acharya Mam Vijanayam Nava Manyeta Karichit, we should worship the Acharya as my very self. I think the previous verse talks about anyone who's representing that culture. The parents should be representing God. So why aren't they guru? A person is guru because he represents God. So why shouldn't the parents also be guru? Why shouldn't the teacher be guru? Why shouldn't the head of the government be guru? And if they represent God, we should see them as God.
Just tastes like what? Sugar?
And as much as the viceroy represented the king. He wasn't the king, but he's the representative. And that's a simple analogy that Prabhupada always gave. So he wants to tell him something more. And I think what he's going to tell him is about Lord Shiva's humility, that he actually serves those who also worship him. And that's what love's all about. That's why Krishna, he is Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, he also serves the devotees. It's not just he's sitting there with his threefold bending form. But Krishna, Prabhupada, I give this statement that Prabhupada made. Krishna doesn't have the defect of impersonality. So one, that means he's controlled by love, and it means he loves those who love him. And that's the supreme personality of Godhead, which is demonstrated in the Bhagavatam and the Gita, because the first time we see God or our God is as the charioteer driver of Arjuna, to show that the supremacy of personality is their own reciprocation in love. Not just as a position and it's honored, but the person who has the position honors those who honor him and becomes the servant of everyone. And that's their identity. So Brahmā is going to tell his son, before you go there, there's a few more things I want to tell you. Sri Brahma uvāca kuverena puradhadya vaktya urudro rishikṛta Brahmā paman da vyatare tasya kailāsa krite gurau. Brahmā said Kaveri once earned the gratitude of Lord Shiva by devotably worshiping him. So a person who receives service becomes grateful. Grateful for the love that's shown to them. And therefore, this gratitude is practically the first symptom of the soul. From then on, within the universe, Lord Shiva submitted to Kavera's authority on Kavera's Mount Kailāsa. So it was the treasure of the demigods' abode that Lord Shiva lives, becomes his abode, and he accepts the authority, just like Krishna, accepted Yudhisthira as an elder or something like that, or accepted the king. That's a great sign of a person. Yeah, even when I went to ISKCON, I was taking breakfast and sometimes lunch. There's a younger devotee there, younger than me. He's 50, but he's a sannyasin guru. see Krishna Maharaj. And he's very humbly served there for over 30 years, which is special. I don't know any devotee that's got that kind of mercy and that type of consciousness that could stay there so long. And he's quite advanced. And I go there and I see he's become like the Mahant. Now he has disciples. He really, not that he imposes authority, but he's so respected there. And it's actually a good managerial system that he's the Acharya. I can see that. And they really respect him. And he's worthy of it. But I go there, they try to put my table first, because I'm a Prabhupada disciple. Because they put, for the senior devotees, they put tables. I put mine. I go there occasionally, hardly ever. Kind of second, I feel like I'm coming into his place. So that's a good thing, I think. Tad vidik palurupena tad yogya parivaraka vasatya vishkrite swapa vaibhava san umapati. Lord Shiva, the husband of Uma, lives there as the guardian of Kuvera's side of the heavenly planet sphere. Accompanied by suitable attendants, he shows but a small fraction of his opulence. We already know that Brahmā made this distinction about Lord Shiva, that where Brahmā is the kind of the king of the universe, or Indra is, but Brahmā is even higher. And they have all these accoutrements of power, which a king must have to rule. Because when you manage, you want to command respect. The main thing should be your character. But there are certain external accoutrements of power that help, like opulence. Because most people, they see greatness in terms of opulence. So even if the king's detached, he has to have the accoutrements of power. And it works. Just look at England. When they had that inauguration of the new king, all the protocol and the opulence, and it works, right? And you can see how it's kind of healthy for the citizens to have that humility, that there's something higher. And ultimately, it should feel it represents God, because the king was Nārada. So, purport, Kuvera, the appointed treasurer of heaven, rules the northeast. Pleased with Kuvera, Lord Shiva, despite his own elevated position, takes up menial service as Kuvera's guard. Lord Shiva's wife, Uma, and several of his associates and servants accompany Lord Shiva in Kailāsa, which compared with his eternal abode outside the universe, is modest in opulence and entourage. Brahmā implies if you go see Lord Shiva on Kuvera's Kailāsa, you will not be able to understand how much greater Lord Shiva is than I. Don't make the mistake of just a person's external thing representing even their power sometimes. So, Itahi Krishno Bhagavan Madrisham Bhakti Yantrita Mama Loke Swadau Cha Vasat Yuchita Lilaya. Just as the personality of Krishna brought under control the devotion of servants like me, resides on my planet and in heaven and elsewhere, Lord Shiva lives in Kailāsa, displaying suitable pastime. So Krishna was living on Brahma's planet. He said there that God reciprocates. That's the whole idea of the philosophy. Prabhupada said, these are famous statements, I repeat again, Krishna is responsive. That's what a person is. The person is responsive. So, purport, the Supreme Lord reciprocates with his best devotees in this world, Brahmā, Kashyapa, and so on, by living with them personally in heaven, below heaven on the earth, above heaven on Mahaloka, and elsewhere. In each incarnation, the Lord appears with suitable pastimes, paraphernalia, family, and friends. So we'll read on. Now let me tell you the opinion of the Vayapurana. The abode of Sri Mahadev lies outside the seven coverings of the universe. So you're going to see him there, but I'm going to tell you about what his abode is like. Purpose. The material universe is enclosed within seven concentric circles made of earth and other basic elements. So that's a real humbling thing. The earth is considered, our universe is 4 billion miles. Billion miles. Earth, water. There's a covering of water that's 40 billion miles in diameter. Then there's a covering of fire, which is 400 billion miles. Then there's ether, which is 4,000 billion miles. And then air, and then ether, which is 40,000 billion miles covering of the universe. And to go through the universe in a mechanical way, which is described in the second canto, you have to get through all those layers. And what holds you back is your attachment, because each layer represents a sense element, like the fragrance of the earth element. Then you got earth, water, the water of the taste element. You got to get through the taste element. And the most exquisite tastes in the world, you'll have to transcend. Fire, the sight element. Air, the sensual element, sexual feelings. And then ether, the sound element. 40,000 billion miles of the most incredible sounds. So that's what he's saying. In contrast to all planets inside the shells, planets that are temporary products of material nature, this abode of Lord Shiva is not a creation of Maya. It's Shiva Loka. There is no unhappiness. The world is attained by the best of Lord Shiva's devotees, the ones who understand to be non-different from Sri Krishna, not the Shaivites who are karmis or gyanis who worship Lord Shiva as an independent supreme controller. Eternal and full of happiness, that abode is absolutely real. It can be attained by the best of Lord Shiva's servant. There, Lord Shiva, served by the most excellent regalia, reveals himself in his full splendor, surrounded by companions who share opulence and beauty equal to his. As his personal deity, he worships Lord Shankarshan, non-different from himself. What amazing wonders does Lord Shiva in this manifestation not display? You have the power to go there because you have great devotion for him. Therefore, go take shelter of him and see the real mercy of Krishna. Parīkṣit said, my dear mother, after Nārada received these instructions, he departed for Shiva Loka with joyful anticipation, chanting Shiva Krishna. So maybe I'll chant that mantra. It's authorized. Mm-hmm. Okay, Jamunajaya. what struck you today?
Hey, Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for class. Quick sidebar, I appreciated your struggles with tilak. I really struggle, so I might have to try an incense stick as well. So I appreciate it.
I'll tell you, it's great. I have this little stick I use today, but this insect stick, you kind of make the thing and just shoot, and then otherwise with the hand, and it just, it's
so
like we don't have karma. It's like one time I visited Sri Maharaj, and I'm like a sadhu look, and he's like more the Western look. So he looked at me, he said, I just can't do that. He says, I put on a charter, it just falls. I put on a charter, it just falls. You know what I'm saying? And like Radhanath Swami walks, his hands are under the charter. It's like, it's natural. So there's certain thing. One time I went to Houston, and Tamal Krishna had these Gujarati disciples, and they make these chapatis. When they finish them, there's actually 2 chapatis, and they separate them, and they're paper thin. So I told Tamal Krishna Maharaj, I said, well, I'd like to get one of my disciples down here to learn this. And he looked at me, he said, it's janma, it's not guna karma. So I think putting on tilak with your hands and like this, it's like, it's try it, actually.
I am. I so appreciate your struggles, because
when I put it here, you just put the pressure where you're going to put it in the nose, and then if you finish it, you can take a cloth. And then I got these tilak stamps. So,
nice.
So the tilak stamp, but I do it, I like to anoint my body and remember the names. Okay. So that was any other realizations?
Yes. Yeah, that was great. I really love the what you said about if we don't really taste Krishna consciousness, then we won't have the compassion to want to share it for others. And then the second half was really wonderful, because then if we don't have the compassion to share it with others, then we envy the material possessions. And that second part was really stuck out to me. And we go into that conception.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Gail?
Hi, Krishna Maharaj.
Hi,
Well, what stuck out for me was dosha, idli, and sambar. because I was struck because, a friend of mine invited me over for lunch today, my husband and I. And
you're
the only
invited
thing she
there?
meant, a friend. And the only things
What?
I say.
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend invited me over for lunch. And the only thing she mentioned that would be on the menu was dosha, idli, and sambar.
I envy you.
Well, I couldn't believe, the only 3 things she mentioned was the only 3 things you mentioned at the top
I don't
of the
know,
class.
these super soul connections we have, is sometimes mystical.
And it's my favorite thing.
Is it?
Oh my goodness, Maharaj.
Wow. Okay. Oh, I love those doshas and the coconut chutney, abundant coconut chutney.
No, the dosha, idli, and sambar, that's not my favorite things. I mean, our super soul experiences. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm so disappointed. I thought it was.
No, but I do love idli. I do love idli. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Gail.
That's just some of my realizations, Maharaj, today.
Your realizations, by the way, are getting higher and higher as I know you. Off the mental plane. Okay. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Tota Gopinath here. So good to see you.
Tomorrow, Tota.
Absolutely.
And make enough for Jack too, okay?
Haribo, no problem.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thanks for class.
Where are you?
Super Soul.
Okay. Wonderful project. Okay, I'm trying to think. Oh, which building?
The Yogi House has Wi-Fi now.
Okay, great. Okay, Haribo, nice to see both of you. Jai.
Nice to see you too.
Glad you made it back.
Yeah, it's good. Now I have an appointment at 1:30. I hope I don't fall asleep in it. But anyway, I think I'm good. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's Isabel. Thank you for class.
Isabel, looking forward to spending some time the week after next with you. Okay?
Me too, Maharaj. Thank you.
Take care of yourself, okay? Especially this week, really. Do you have a zero gravity chair? They're great for the back. You know what that is?
I had one. I do have to get one, but it was mostly the Lyme that was really affecting me. The Lyme disease was really knocking me down, but feeling much better now.
Where did you get the Lyme disease from?
Probably here in North Carolina when hiking. When I came to do the Panchakarma, I had to take on my head.
I hate country walks, so I'm saved from Lyme disease.
I love hiking, so I've had a lot of tick bites.
It's the one thing that's epidemic. Amala Vaishnav had it. Donna Kaylee's husband had it.
Jamuna Jaya.
Really, so many people get that Lyme disease. I mean, when I go out, I feel like I go out in upstate New York. I'm afraid to walk in the grass. That's how I am with that Lyme disease. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, but I'm feeling much better now, and the back will be cured soon, hopefully.
Okay, but I really feel that myself by that zero gravity chair. It takes all the pressure off the back. And I know if I sit up regularly on a chair, you tend to bend over it, so, okay.
True. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else say hello?
Krishna Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
Whoa. Tota. I mean, Gopa, my God. Of all people to become a hippie, I can't. Where are you guys? At your home?
Kentucky, and I got the shirt.
Where are you?
We're home now, but we just got back from Kentucky. We were there for the week.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you build? What did you build? What did you build in Kentucky? What did you work on?
Just had fun this week, but I built like a ladder to like a swimming area, and
kids went too.
Narayan went, and
okay, great. Get them out there in that homestead. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, Haribo. Anybody else say hello?
Maharaj, you just here. Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure, yeah.
Hare Krishna. You said that the only quality that earlier you said the only quality that Krishna does not have is impersonalism. Yet I understood that every quality we have in minute quantity because that's the source of it. Can you just elaborate a little bit? I don't want to speculate.
Prabhupada said Krishna doesn't have the defect of impersonality. And it's used in a particular concept is that he relates in relationships. He relates in love. So in person, English language, impersonal means that you're callous. He's not callous, Of course, in one sense, he's also renounced. So I guess, things like that can be there. Yeah, well, that's what I meant. He's not callous because he's the supreme personality of Godhead. And if he's the supreme personality of Godhead, it's yayatam prapanna. He reciprocates in relationships. He has an impersonal feature, but Krishna means when God, of course, see, Krishna is very interesting because what Krishna means is when God is personal. So yes, it's kind of like a person at home. When a person's at home, he's very personal. Okay, so technically, the person is also the high court judge and can be aloof too. So I guess that's also within the person, but not when he's manifest as Bill at home, you know. So Krishna just doesn't mean God. It means when God is personal. But he also has the other. Tarejati, tadnaijati, tadre, tadvantike, tarantarasya sarvasya, tarisavaras. He walks and he doesn't walk. He's near and far. So he resolves all contradiction. Yudhisthira, thanks for that question. Give me an opportunity to clear that up. Thank you.
Thank you, Marsh.
Anybody else?
Krishna Guru Maharaj.
What?
Hare Krishna. Dharmasek is here.
Oh, I always love to hear your voice. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare
Guru
Bol.
Maharaj. Thank you so much.
And appreciative that by this medium, you know, we can stay contact, even if, you know, the Prabhupada said you use a thorn to take out a thorn. So that what separated us all is this modern civilization, which splattered people, you know, where we'd have communities with, you know, our guru in the community. So, you know, the modern civilization, the advancement of modern, you know, your friends are scattered all over, but we can help take it out by the communication that we have. Good. Anybody else say hello?
We are so fortunate, Guru Maharaj.
Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. It's Lal Govinda. Thank you for class.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Hi.
Glad you're back.
Okay, great to see you. Haribo.
Haribo.
We'll see you Tuesday?
I don't know. I'm still working on getting the new shop up and running. So I think there's some finalization stuff.
A lot of anxiety. Well, you'll miss the sweets I brought back.
Oh no. Well, hopefully maybe Bṛhad can make it and she could put a couple in her pocketbook for me.
Let's see if she'll come. Okay. Anybody else?
Hey, Paul.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Hemalata Radha.
Shankishwar Das, Haribol Maharaj, thank you for the
Hemalata
class.
Radha.
Yes, Maharaj.
I spoke to Raghunath, and he said that you're more than willing to just come and participate. He's going to be up in Rishikesh. I'll speak to you about that personally.
Okay, yes, please. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
He was very excited. Oh, yes, let them come. I mean, you could just rent the room, the same place, and hear it. We'll talk about it. Okay. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna. Oh.
Hey, Haribo. Okay.
Welcome back, Maharaj.
Are you guys coming to Govardhan this year?
Of course.
Yes.
Did you let them know?
Who?
I sent out an email.
Yeah, we haven't responded, but we're definitely going.
Okay, well, tell Jagannath Priya she's just keeping a list of people, so I reserve your room.
Yeah, no problem.
Which I put air conditioner, which also has a heater. But anyway,
are they working the ACs?
What?
Do they work?
It had worked initially for me. I mean, it worked, was not the room. I wasn't there. The one they put in was so big. it can, like, you know, fool anything. Yeah, okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
I see. Haribo. Who else? Say hello. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Jai, Haribo.
Haribol.
Good.
Thank you for your class.
From the island of Kish. Mystical. Hare Krishna. Anybody else?
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for class.
Amla, that's such a picture. That's when you were guru in Varsana. Okay.
Thank you.
They judge people by the size of their beads and their tattoos. Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Chad. Just appreciating your classes. Thank you kindly.
Okay, great. Anybody else? Okay, I'm looking down the list. I see all the people that are there. That's great.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, this is Kishori Radha.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Today's what when I say we can talk on Monday, right?
I didn't receive an email, but I can talk on Monday.
Yeah, Monday we'll figure.
After work.
You'll let me know the times. Okay, I'm gonna head out now.
Okay.
1 second. Vanchakalpa through Bhistakripa Sindhu.